Hi, my name is Mia Beck. I'm from Troop 648, and today I'll be talking about my hair and makeup design for The Hunchback of Notre Dame, written by Stephen Schwartz and Alan McKen. So I decided to do Frollo, Quasimodo, Esmeralda, and a guy and a girl gargoyle because I wanted to show that anyone can play any character, not that anyone should play any character. So I did these all on myself because this was not a realized production, so I had that freedom and liberty to do that. So when making Frollo, I wanted to make sure he was a very angular character as he's a very harsh character on the stage. So I tried to portray that with shadows, and I gave him a goatee, and I grayed out my hair. Obviously, if this was on a different actor or actress, I would change how I portrayed it and change the hair because that's different for every actor and actress, and high schools don't have the biggest budget for wigs, so we just kind of have to work with what we have on our bodies. I did buy some hair for the beard though, or the goatee, my money piece. It's a money piece apparently. And then I also repurposed that hair for my guy and girl gargoyle for the moss. So I used this makeup palette to kind of help me create the moss. I just kind of colored it in and shaded it. So I was trying to repurpose to keep the budget a little more high school friendly. I tried to stick to drugstore makeup and sprinkle in a little bit of marron here and there. Moving on to Quasimodo, this was the first time I'd ever worked with prosthetics, so I just used some putty. I wanted to kind of start small, and I also used some scar solution. It was an experience. I think it was really interesting, and in my personal interpretation, Quasimodo has also faced abuse as well as having the deformities, so I wanted to make sure there were scars on there. And then for Esmeralda, I do believe this should be played by a person of color, but I just wanted to prove a point by doing it all on myself, that anyone can be any character. So I did look up what colors were prominent at the time, and I decided to go with jewel tones because I felt that best portrayed her, and I did use some eyeliner in the waterline to kind of replicate kohl, which is very popular in Indian culture, and gypsies were said to have originated from Indian cultures. And then kind of going back to the gargoyles really quick, the hardest part for me was trying to make the hair look like stone. So I did use the same base for both of them, and then for the guy I just added a moss beard because I thought that was a really cool touch. But for the hair, I did use some hair white and then also just some kind of hair coloring that's temporary to kind of create a stone-alike effect. And I think it worked quite well. I would maybe experiment more with people with more or less hair. It just depends, but for me it worked pretty well. Going back to what I researched to kind of get where I am, for Frollo especially, it was really hard to find what people in the church looked like in the 1500s. And a lot of them either were like bald and had a piece of hair here or had very long hair. So I decided to have him have shoulder length hair that was just grayed. And they typically had a money piece or a beard, like a short beard or a long beard. Some of them had a long beard, but I decided to do it that way. And like I said, for Esmeralda, I tried to kind of look at Indian culture, and if I did do this on a person of color, I would maybe add a bindi if they were comfortable with it, and maybe some nose jewelry connecting to a hoop, but that's just me. And then I also, something that was really interesting for the application was the putty I did find started to melt off as like I was taking the photos, so I do think I would need to revisit that, as well as the teeth paint. That could be an allergy for some people, whereas there are allergies for makeup. In the mouth is even more so. And I also didn't do the stage blood or bruising that you would see on some of these characters later on in the show, but I did just want to kind of explain that. And then to help actors, even though I didn't realize this, I would definitely give them a digital portfolio like I did for you of my process through it, because I think that's very helpful as an actor myself to be able to see everything step by step. And yeah, my goal is just to make makeup and hair accessible for anyone. So I do think that some things to consider are actors with disabilities, or who might have trouble with like application itself. But I do want to teach people to be sustainable themselves without me. I'm just there to teach. So yeah, thank you so much for listening to my TED Talk. Thank you.